Hey, y'all, welcome to Cross Politic Live. It's good to be with you. But before we get started, I want to make you aware of something I'm very excited to be a part of launching in January. So come this January, I'm excited to launch the Business Makers Network. This has been 2 years in the works and glad to finally get this thing off the ground. When COVID hit, I think we all realized how disconnected our business relationships really were. Cancel culture hit conservative Christians and free-thinking, people besides Christians, free-thinking people against COVID insanity, really from every direction. Debanking, YouTube censorship, forced employee vaccination policies. It was a real problem for almost any business. Imagine if Business Makers Network existed then. Well, never be alone again. Business Makers is a community of like-minded Christian business leaders that exist to focus, encourage, and grow our calling of building successful careers and businesses, influencing the economy and politics, and provide community of intellectual capital that will help you grow your business efforts. Join our growing network of intellectual wealth, trusting Christian social capital, and add to our aggregate net worth of already over $1 billion represented coming this January 2025. This community will strengthen your business efforts, host regional events and workshops, and curate a wealth of knowledge and experience that is unlike any other. So, of course, you can ask the question, if I join Business Makers Network, what will I get out of this experience? First, after you sign up, you'll get network access to your peer group that you join. Here are the various levels, and as we grow, we'll be segmenting out groups to continue to foster better networking opportunities. So the first level is the double diamond, or the highest level is the double diamond membership. And we're ranking each level kind of based on the challenges that you would maybe see skiing on a mountain. So double diamond is a membership of CEOs who manage over $20 million in revenue. That level is a $20,000 annual entrance fee. The black diamond membership is the CEOs who manage between $10 to $20 million in revenue. That's $10,000 in annual membership fees. The red membership is $5 to $10 million, and that's $5,000 annual membership fees. The blue membership is $5 million and under, and that's $2,500 or for those under $5 million and under. And then the green membership is kind of the startup entrepreneurship level, and it's really basically companies that are around 3 years or less with an entrance fee of $1,500. And then lastly, for those who are working for Google, YouTube, or all the woke corporations and still need desperately to find a like-minded community, we have an MVP level for $1,000. Very excited about this, and now you're kind of wondering, okay, I get access at my level, at my peer group level. What else will I be getting to participate in? Secondly, you will get access to exclusive networking opportunities, discounts to regional live workshops, and invitation to Cross Politics annual dinner before our Fight, Laugh, Feast conference. Thirdly, our goal is to have a combined network influence on our political leaders and economy. As our network grows into the amount of money it represents, let's say, $20 billion in revenue or something along those lines, our hopeful goal is to schedule strategic quarterly calls with politicians and key leaders that tend to have some sort of political sway on our current economic situation. This is what we will call our Business Makers Quarterly Calls, BMQ calls, and I myself am very excited about this potential network opportunity. There's a lot more we will be rolling out, including mentor opportunities and opportunities, let's say, to meet with CEOs and network experts that will analyze and help your business grow. I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver here, but these are things we are working on in the pipeline. So sign up now to get in line and get ready to join this exciting, burgeoning network. Your network is your net worth. Join now. Enjoy the show. Legacy media is falling apart, and as it crumbles, a void is opening, a void that we intend to fill. The big legacy news networks currently average just 1.2 million viewers a weeknight, and those numbers are only going to get lower. Legacy media is dying, and the younger generation has moved on. Legacy media panders. Legacy media lies. Legacy media does not know what the truth is, and they don't care about it. Legacy media is a dumpster fire. This is why we few in our wild imaginations have started the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Our goal is to take down the legacy media giant of the last 50 years with our 5 stones. We started in 2016 with our flagship show, Cross Politics. Since those small beginnings, we now air on DirecTV. Our broader podcast network now gets over 4 million downloads a year. And our Fight Laugh Feast pub, which includes TV shows like This America, The Rowdy Christian's Guide, Pastors in Politics, and As the Lord Pleases, with your support, many more to come. Our goal is to become the flagship new media 2.0 network over the next 50 years and take over nightly news, sports, sitcoms, hunting shows, and more, all conveniently stored for you in our Fight Laugh Feast pub. We're already reaching the next generation through our podcast shows on YouTube, X, and our pub, while also tapping into legacy media audiences by airing our shows on TV through DirecTV and Xfinity. We have made a lot of progress with some duct tape and a good bit of intuition and a lot of sweat. And now we need your support more than ever. The TV networks have had such a negative impact on our households, and we're trying, by the grace of God, to put a stop to that. We have the opportunity. We just need the army. Now more than ever, we need you to join our pub to help us reach our goal of 1 million pub supporters in the next 5 years. There's no way around it. Competing with Fox and the Alphabet networks without money is virtually impossible. It's cheap for you to join. And when you do, you're combining your small monthly support with a growing army of like-minded Christians. We have thousands, we need millions. So if you want more of the Alphabet network's misinformation and lies, don't join. But if you want to give us a mere 5 stones, then please join the pub, and together we will take a swing at the head of big media, all the while fighting, laughing, and feasting to the glory of God. You guys, be thinking of questions. Off. You guys be thinking of questions and start raising your hands because the speakers will come right to you right now.
Wait, hold on. I'm only taking good questions. So if I don't like your question...
So I don't get one? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's right. Especially after that last joke.
Okay. Raise your hand. He'll come by.
Who's got a question?
So, Dr. White, I think you actually alluded to this a little bit in your talk about forgetting. And it seems like forgetting is a big theme in scriptures, and probably one of the dominant sins of Israel in the scriptures. And I think that's one of the sins that's happening in America right now, that we've forgotten God's goodness. We've kind of rejected our God, but all kind of under the theme of forgetting. So I would love to kind of just hear y'all's thoughts on how do we remember the Lord? How do we reject forgetting, and how do we remember the Lord? And then, of course, that has practical ramifications for how parents raise their children not to forget.
Right, exactly.
Well, if you started with me, obviously when we gather around the table, that's the greatest example of remembrance, because the term that is used there, it's a term that's not used all that often in the New Testament, anamnesis. It means remembrance. And what strikes me is one of the most beautiful things in the gospel, from my mind, is in Hebrews chapter 10, we are told that a repetitive sacrifice is a reminder, an anamnesis of sin. But a finished, one singular sacrifice, we do an anamnesis of the sin bearer. So under the old, you had to go back year after year after year. We do the supper, and we're remembering a finished sacrifice. So for believers, there is the glorious idea of that as the ultimate example of the memorial stones that the old patriarchs used to put up. In fact, you've got to let me do this. You know what an Ebenezer is, right? Yeah. Y'all explain that when you sing that song, I hope? You should, because here I raise, it's not, and this is the biggest group I've ever gotten to explain this to. This is great. It is not, here I raise my Ebenezer, okay? It's not about Scrooge. I bet a lot of people have always wondered, how did this get into that hymn, right? Here I raise my Ebenezer. He wasn't a nice man, so why did I do that? It's Ebenezer. It's a Hebrew phrase that means stone of help. And it's what the patriarchs would do when God's grace broke through in their life, when God helped them in a great way. They'd put that pile of stones up, and years later it would be a reminder, remember, God did this. We have a lot of those things in our nation's history that we could look back to if we wanted to.
One of the lines that I use with my kids, I'm so sorry to take, I saw your mic come up after I started speaking. One of the lines that I use with my kids is, typically remembering is not making it forgetting is a failure to make it a priority to remember. And I think that's a posture of the heart. If we prioritize the things of the Lord, that's going to show forth in many practices, and a liturgy for the home, and a liturgy for the church, and really from a civic law standpoint, we will stop the doctrines and commandments and the inventions of men and just look to the law of God. And in so doing, we will order not just the home and the church, but order all spheres of life under the Word of God, and we will remember the goodness of God, not just His judgment. We want to remember the goodness of God because there is an expulsive power of a greater affection for Christ. When we see, you can't compare His goodness and His mercy and His effulgent glory to the things of this earth. There are glimmers that you can get from the things of the earth, but He's incomparable in that way. So what we're really establishing in all these things is the supremacy of Christ in all that we do, so that we won't have any reason to forget.
Don't you just love it that he just quoted Thomas Chalmers without attributing it?
I was waiting on you to attribute it.
Yeah, the book of James tells us that there are only two kinds of people: effectual doers, forgetful hearers. So one of the primary tasks of discipleship is to affect our constant remembrance. Every time we come to the Lord's Supper table, every time we gather around the family table at home, we repeat these things over and over. It's why Scripture memory is an essential part of discipleship. We need to hide God's Word in our heart. Why? Because we are slow, stupid, and forgetful.
Yeah. I was the first thing I thought of when you asked the question, Gabe, was the same thing, Lord's Supper, that Dr. White did as well. And I think then just riffing off that is, I think one of the reasons why, one of the things that secularism has done, part of its work is it has made remembering a burdensome chore. What the secularists are constantly bringing up are grievances and failure. And so when you...
What can be unencumbered by what has been.
Security.
Right, because for the secularist, for the Darwinist, for the materialist, what has been is only held you back. It's only burden. It's only weight. It's only retrograde. And so, and Christians have believed that. And then if you're not regularly getting forgiveness, you're not regularly keeping short accounts, you're not walking in the light, and you start thinking about your past, what do you have in the past? Well, you do, like, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to think about that. And I think, unfortunately, just very practically back to the Lord's Supper, frequently the celebration of the Lord's Supper is not really any kind of celebration. Frequently, the celebration of the Lord's Supper, I mean, in a lot of churches for a long time, it was getting more and more rare, because when you finally got around to it, it was this morose, introspective, how bad have you been? You probably shouldn't be here. And, look deep inside, remember all that your wicked deeds, and it's like, that's no fun. And so even Christians in their own way made remembering this terrible thing. Remember how awful you are. No, I'd rather not. And that's not a celebration at all, but to Dr. White's point, that's not what the remembrance is to be. The remembrance is to remember the once-for-all sacrifice. which is an inherently joyous occasion. And so when you come at remembering in a Christian way, you remember the wonderful works of God, the mighty works of God, the heroes of old, the forgiveness of sins, all that God has done. Suddenly what has been is glorious. And the task of remembering is a celebration. And I think that would be one of the things that I would press on would be, if we want to remember better, we need to remember the good things, remember the kind of things that fill you with joy, that make people want to remember, that you would never want to forget God's goodness to you.
So in one sense, it's not that if you're going to remember, it's what are you going to remember? Yeah. Dr. Grant, any more comments?
I was just going to say, following up on what Toby was saying, we often, when we're fencing the table at our church, we tell
Wanted. Young men to rebuild Western civilization. Must be unafraid of pain, blisters, intellectual rigor, and a lifetime of long shifts with swords and shovels, digging ditches, repelling invaders, and reading stacks of books taller than their fathers. Must be impervious to manipulative women of all sorts, giggling virgins, cyber skanks, and even full cauldrons of Karens or hand-wringing clergy, but always seeking to hear and heed the words of Lady Wisdom. Immune to the leadership of hypocrites and LARPing online masculinitods, unaffected by abusive authorities, petty professors, and all brokers of official respectability. Willing to hoist the Jolly Roger and Johnny Cash's favorite finger whenever faced with idolatry. Long-suffering joy and determination required. Must be willing to dwell among the tombs and graves of the long dead, seeking truths that cannot die. Exhaustion guaranteed. Conflict guaranteed. Mortality guaranteed. New St. Andrews College. Liberal arts for the undaunted.
What are we doing? What are we doing? There we go. I'm controlling the board. I'm like having conversations with Toby, our producer. I just got texted from Luke from Apologia, thinking about everything about the show. I apologize. Hey, y'all, welcome to Cross Politics on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Pastor Toby, the Water Boys here. Knox is still on the road, which means we just need more club members. That's all that means. Join our club, and Knox, at some point, could not travel.
Just join, just so that Knox can run the soundboard.
That's right.
You're right. like you can just when we do the survey, why did you become a member? You're like, so Knox would run the soundboard.
Yes.
So Gabe would not run the soundboard.
That's 100%.
I mean, that's totally legit reason to join the pub.
And also, just so you guys know, all new club members, I email you a form to fill out for getting your shirt size and all that stuff. But I think the spam filter is targeting me and Crust Politic. I think it is.
So
because I've heard a lot of you are picking me up in spam, even my personal Gmail address.
Yeah. So if I clicked on your email address and said send it to spam, that's what it did.
Yeah, that's what it. So if you did it on purpose, this is not for you. But I think a lot of whatever's going on, it seems like some of our emails are ending up in spam more than usual. But life goes on.
Yeah,
so
but
make sure you check that out.
If you joined and you're like, hey, where's my cool T-shirt?
Yeah.
Because we still give all club members T-shirts.
Oh yeah, and other stuff too, depending on what level they sign up in.
Okay, other stuff.
Yeah,
like sweatshirts or
maybe mugs or hats. Actually, hats is our most recent one. Okay. We got a great Fight Laugh Feast hat, and
anyways,
it's made well.
To our listeners in Virginia, a bill.
Oh, pay attention to this, Virginia.
SB. They were paying attention. I started talking.
When Toby speaks, you pay attention.
SB 1031. That would eliminate the option to homeschool through the religious exemption is on the docket for a crucial hearing tomorrow, January 16th.
That's a fair summary, and Bree doubted me. She's like, well, I mean, that's close.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Bree, is that really is that it? What is it eliminating? The option to homeschool? For what?
Homeschooling.
Well,
So the state has to approve you in Virginia on the grounds at which you can homeschool.
So a religious exemption exempts you from certain kinds of state oversight. So they have to register with the state.
They have to sign and submit a statement of intent saying that they're going to homeschool their children.
Okay.
The religious
Okay.
exemption. If they take that away, they have to have the state assess their children, and they have to.
Oh, okay. So apparently in the state of Virginia, I'd love to hear from some of our Virginia listeners if you actually do this. But she says, Bree,
Our producer
says that in the state of Virginia, you apparently have to let the state know that you intend to homeschool your children, and then you can, if you apply for religious exemption, this is correct, then you don't have to go through certain kinds of scrutiny and oversight from the state. They leave you alone, more or less, because you're homeschooling according to your religious convictions.
Yep.
But this bill would take that religious exemption away and require a lot more state oversight.
That's right.
Yeah. It was set bureaucrats over homeschoolers. Yeah, instead of you just being able to homeschool according to your convictions.
I mean, it's just a pagan school choice bill.
Oh, really? We're going to start that.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, please come to the hearing in Richmond. If you are somewhere near Richmond, there's a hearing for this bill. Again, SB
1031.
1031.
Yep.
Okay. The expected time is 1:30 p.m. in Richmond. Location is Senate Room C in the General Assembly Building, 3rd floor, room 311. Now, people, you have no excuses. You can't say, I don't know where it is. It's Senate Room C in the General Assembly Building, 3rd floor, room 311 at 201 North 9th Street. There's your instructions right there, guys. If you're anywhere near Richmond, if you got the time tomorrow, this hearing for SB 1031 is going on. Come, let your voice be heard. Speak up not only for your children and your grandchildren, but for your neighbors and for religious liberty in the state of Virginia. This says, allow plenty of time for parking, maybe several blocks away, walking to the building and getting through security. A big crowd sends a powerful message. It says today you can also call the chair of the Senate Public Education Subcommittee, Senator Van Valkenburg, at 804-698-7516. Senator Van Valkenburg at 804-698-7516, and especially ask him in your own words to vote no on the bill. Also, please call or email your own senator with the same message if he or she is on the subcommittee. That would be Senator Locke, Senator Peake, Senator Pekarsky, Senator Newcraig. Okay. For more information, you can visit the HSLDA legal page. HSL, Homeschool Legal Defense Association, I think is what it stands for. Their legal page. Find out more information there. This is a great opportunity for Virginia to get involved and defend your right to educate your children in the Lord. Christ is Lord Conference. Do you love the Bible?
Name it and claim it.
Do you love good stories? Then you need to come to the Christ is Lord Conference 2025 at Crossroad Church in Earlham, Iowa. Earlham? Earlham. I don't know. I'm
Earlham. I'll do Earlham.
I know you would. I wonder how they actually pronounce it in Iowa. Iowa, give us a shout out. Tell us how you actually pronounce that city name. Earlham? Earlham. And maybe it is Earlham. I don't know. It's Iowa. Crossroad Church is hosting Sierra Wiley and Dr. Joe Rigney, headlining the conference, subtitled Lessons from Fiction, Lewis Tolkien and God's Plan for the Household. Ooh, that looks great.
That does.
One of the sessions is even titled Fight, Laugh, and Feast Like a Narnian.
Hey!
How can you say no to that? To register, visit ChristIsLordAcademy.org, ChristIsLordAcademy.org. Click on the conference tab, but act soon. Early bird pricing won't last much longer. Visit ChristIsLordAcademy.org today.
Wow. Okay. So we got to get into this. Yeah. Yesterday, Pete Hegseth's hearing.
Oh, yeah.
Nomination hearing.
Pete.
So that's already going on even before Trump is officially the man.
Right.
Because the Senate and Congress, they run the nomination process.
Right.
You know,
They're,
so
they're in session.
they're in session
They're
and
going.
they're moving and doing their thing. So Pete Hegseth was up, and of course, you know, the grilling begins. And then we're going to get into Pam Bondi, because that's Trump's nomination for Department of Justice. And she happened actually today. So first off, let's hit. I want to just start off with Pete Hegseth doing his opening. His opening thoughts were just comments were just really good. We're actually only going to play the parts where he's talking about Christ, but his family. But his opening, all of his thoughts. I'd encourage you to go listen to all of his opening comments. It's really good. Go ahead and roll this clip.
Jenny and I pray together every morning. All glory, regardless of the outcome, belongs to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. His grace and mercy abounds each day. May his will be done.
Oh,
There you go.
Oh,
Really
wow.
strong, really good.
That's how he started.
That's how he started. This is part of his. That's how he started off, and then he got into his opening comments
Wow.
and everything. So very explicitly Christian. And I was just thinking, what's going on nationwide? Have you been watching like NBA interviews after the game and football
Yeah.
interviews after the game?
I think,
and even in college,
yeah.
it's like the error is in the potency of
Yeah.
Christianity is like coming
Right.
back in
Yeah.
some sense. Of course, I always doubt you know, I'm always wondering, are they living it out in their personal lives?
Right.
And I have good reason to be suspect of this, but I mean, it's amazing how it's okay again. Like the Overton window is back in some sense to a situation where I wonder what Aaron Wren would say. Are we kind of in some sort of neutral world maybe again with Christianity? Or
Right.
at least something's changed
No, that's right.
where people are talking way more about their faith in public.
There's a number of people that have been describing this as the vibe shift.
Mhm.
It's a broad. I mean, it's like it's not just even evangelical Christians or Reformed Christians.
It's Joe Rogan.
Yeah, there's people talking about this
Yeah.
vibe shift is sort of like, okay, the left has really lost a lot of ground.
Yeah.
I think even yesterday, if y'all missed the show yesterday, we interviewed Billboard Chris. I don't know his name.
Chris Elson.
Yeah, Chris. This Canadian dad who has just started speaking out about the transgender movement and particularly targeting of young children.
He was just a dad working.
And but I think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, I think that this, you know, sort of this, I mean, and we would say we should have been fighting a lot harder, a lot sooner.
Well, from the pulpit.
Oh yeah.
If the pulpit
along.
was creating the Overton window, guys like Chris would not be in this position they were in.
Right. But you get all the way to the point where you're giving, you know, 13-year-old girls mastectomies and
14-year-old.
yeah, whatever. And these hormone blockers and these treatments that are sterilizing these kids for life.
Yeah.
And for some reason, you know, God used that.
Yeah.
I think, you know, Matt Walsh and some other people
Yeah.
really spoke out about
What
it.
is a woman?
Like, what is a woman? Are we really going to say we don't know what a woman is? Are we really going to say that? And I think a lot of that's been part of it. And then I think COVID was this massive red pill moment where everybody like trust the science.
Yep.
I was like, wait, trust, you know, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And they're
masking.
like, and we're like, we're reading the science, and they're like, shut up.
Yeah.
They were like, but the study says no. You know, like, and everybody's like, wait, are they doing this?
Trust the science, but only don't question the science.
No, right.
Trust it.
There was this massive moment where everybody's okay, so we're being lied to. We're being lied to from the people that are supposed to protect us, and then it was like, and they're sterilizing our kids.
Yeah.
And of course, but I think all of that's been used and has been sort of become like this massive nuclear energy. I think behind the Trump phenom and Joe Rogan and these, you know, I mean, even Zuckerberg is like, hey, me too.
I'm a libertarian, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm throwing a party for Trump.
Yeah.
And so, but like, that's an example though. I think what you're talking about is like, it would be interesting to talk to Aaron.
Yeah.
Be like, okay, what is that signal? Because it's like, there was moments where people were losing their jobs.
It was a negative world.
It was totally a
100%.
negative world. And that made sense.
Yep.
And then at the same time, and you know, things can change. The vibe shift can shift again. But it certainly seems like the current has changed significantly.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of businesses even coming out and like dropping DEI stuff.
Yeah.
dropping their, compliance with these
Yeah.
radical leftist ideologies.
Right. Yeah.
And there's like, we're just going to go back to, doing business.
Yeah.
We're not going to we're going to do this anymore.
Yeah. So here's Pete. Here's probably the funniest moment of the Pete Hegseth grilling process. It's not a major point, but I thought it was kind of funny. I just wanted to point it out, and then we'll move on to maybe some more substantive stuff with Pete. But here's Elizabeth Warren grilling Pete.
In other words, you're quite sure that every general who serves should not go directly into the defense industry for 10 years. You're not willing to make that same pledge?
I'm not a general, Senator.
So what had happened was the topic that had come up was Pete is proposing that generals can't go out of the Army and right into the private civilian, Army industry, the, body armor, whatever, because they were taking so much advantage serving the Army and then going and getting the contracts from the Army with private civilian companies.
Right.
And so Pete's like, we need to put a moratorium on our generals being able to do this because it's twisting the
Incentives.
The incentives, right? And so Elizabeth Warren was like, well, you aren't committing to yourself as a general to do this. Pete's not a general. He's a public appointed, but you'll notice multiple times this happen where the Democrats they don't do their own homework. They're just on rhetoric trying to attack Pete and going off on these various, they attacked Pete personally about his personal life and everything. And they're he even admitted to some of his sins in front of the committee that he had done in the past.
Right.
And he never turned it around on them. But to be fair, all those Democrats are probably doing the same thing or worse, but Pete's actually repented of his kind of thing. But anyways, my point is rhetorically, they don't do their homework and then they get caught like that, where Elizabeth Warren's, trying to get Pete as a general to follow his own rules, and he's not a general.
Well, I'm not a general.
Yeah. So here's probably we'll end on a positive, this in a negative note, but they grilled Pete on his women in combat.
Yeah.
In multiple angles. So here's one of the angles they took. We aren't going to take the time to address all these questioning, but here's one of the back and forth between Pete and the committee on this women in issue. He's got books where he said things. He's got podcasts where he said things, and so they're picking it up here.
Trump indicated at all that he plans to rescind or alter that guidance?
You're correct to point out, Senator, that these are the decisions that the commander-in-chief will have the prerogative to make. He has not indicated to me that he has plans to change whether or not women would have access to these roles. However, I would point out, ensuring that standards are equal and high is of importance to him and great importance to me. Because in those ground combat roles, what is true is that the weight of the ruck on your back doesn't change. The weight of the 155 round that you have to carry doesn't change. The weight of the 240 Bravo machine gun you might have to carry doesn't change. And so whether it's a man or a woman, they have to meet the same high standards. And Senator, in any place where those things have been eroded or in courses, criteria have been changed in order to meet quotas, racial quotas or gender quotas, that is putting a focus on something other than readiness, standards, meritocracy, and lethality. So that's the kind of review I'm talking about, not whether women have access to ground combat.
Okay.
roles.
Now there's a couple things. Getting back to meritocracy would deal with a lot of problems in the military.
99,
yeah, right.
of it. A
Right.
lot of it. Yeah.
Right, a lot of it.
Yeah.
Later on, Pete was grilled by two senators who were on the Democrat side of things, and they had served in the military, and they were coming after him. Hey, we served.
They're women?
They're women. Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me. Yes. Very good clarification.
I don't know.
But I was thinking about this. Pete really kind of held on. He kind of just kept saying meritocracy. That was his response to this. We need to get back to equal standards.
Right.
Now I as a Christian, I would like, him to double down on, hey, this is created order. God didn't make women to kill. He made men to kill, men to defend, and women to give life.
Right.
But at the same time, he's in this massive political ring.
Right.
And I don't know.
We've talked about this.
There's one other point is I think there's times where Christ answered the question in a way that wouldn't have satisfied me sometimes, right? you know, and he getting
Gabe's reading about Jesus.
You know, precept. Where's your precept? You know.
Yeah.
So there's some wisdom there, but
Yeah,
you know.
no, I don't think you're required to put a kick me sign on your back.
Mhm.
Like you're not required to walk into a trap.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, I think Jesus often does that. He refuses to walk into the trap. He sees what they're trying to do and
Right.
refuses to walk into it. Now,
And refuses to even answer the question.
right.
There's times where he did that.
But very practically, I mean, my suggestion, I mean, I'm open to feedback. I'd
Yeah.
love to hear from people that maybe have run for public office or have thought about it and
Mhm.
wondered how they'd answer questions. But I would love to get to the point. I've mentioned this about abortion before, even with, you know, the fact that, you know, whatever, Trump is, you know, gone kind of soft, kind of squishy,
Yeah,
maybe pulled back some of his,
Yeah.
I think some of his really helpful bracing rhetoric from 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But like, for the abortion issue, if it were me right now, I'm thinking about out loud, I'd be like, I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
The Bible teaches that every life from conception to natural death
Right.
is sacred and to be defended
Yeah.
by law. However, it is not in my prerogative to make that decision right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I don't have the power to do that.
Yeah.
And I believe in the process, the due process of law. And, you know, I can't pull the lever. And if Trump says, I don't want to pass that law, I don't want to put that into place, I don't want to do
Yeah.
that executive order.
Yeah.
I'm not going to force that.
You
I
can't.
can only do what
It'd
I
be
can do.
illegal if you forced it.
And so I think it would be a great victory though, if even if pro-life politicians believe I can't just demand, I just can't go around demanding abolition
Mhm.
constantly. And
Yeah.
I've got to run some different plays.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to support this, you know, partial birth abortion ban here, and I'm going to have to support this heartbeat bill ban, ban here. I would just love to get those same people. I would say, okay, fine. But what I'd love for you to start saying is, all abortion is murder, and I'm supporting this right now because I believe it's the best we can do right now.
Yeah.
Let's just start saying that.
Yeah,
All abortion is murder.
Yeah.
All abortion. Just say it.
Yeah.
All life is protected by God.
Yeah.
And because it bears His image.
Yeah.
I'd love to do the same. If I had a chance to, you know, talk to Pete. This is
Yeah.
what I'd suggest to him.
Mhm.
I'd be like, what if when they question you, you say, I'm a Christian,
Mhm.
and the Bible teaches that men and women bear God's image in gloriously different ways.
Yeah.
And the Bible teaches that when women try to take on the roles of men,
Yeah.
that diminishes their glory.
Yeah.
And so as a
And vice
Christian,
versa.
as
Yeah.
a Christian,
Uh-huh.
I am not in favor of women in combat roles.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
However, I serve the commander in chief.
Yeah.
And the thing that he has emphasized that we are going to focus on is meritocracy
And I love that.
and the heavy rucksack
Yeah.
and, you know, all
Yeah.
the weapons.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
that's what I'm going to do. I know how to
Mhm.
to follow orders.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to do. We're going to make
Yeah.
ourselves ready to fight the war.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, figuring out how to say both, like this, I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
I'm not going to back away from that at all.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm a man who follows orders.
Yeah.
And this is the plan that the president has outlined to me.
Right.
And I'm very good with that order.
Right.
I'd love to be able to at least start there.
Yeah.
As a step towards, this is what the Christian faith teaches.
Right.
And I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
However, this is where I am right now.
Yeah.
And so this is what I'm gonna do, which I
Yeah.
think I can do in a good
Yeah.
conscience
Yeah.
while holding that conviction.
Yeah. So then the follow-up question would be, okay, you could do that in good conscience. And I believe there's a lot of centurions and you know, people in the New Testament that worked for the government that Jesus said, hey, just serve well. Don't beg for extra money, you know, that
Right.
kind of thing, and do your job well.
Right.
And this was in a Roman Empire.
Right.
So which
Right.
was way more messed up
Right.
probably than our
Right.
empire. So I guess then at what point, because I could hear that argument for a 4-star general in COVID saying, you know, I'm a Christian
Well,
and I got to force vaccinate my people.
Right.
And you know, you see what I'm saying?
No, I do. And,
Yeah.
and that's why I would say where I think John the Baptist is when the centurions say, what do I do?
Mhm.
And he says,
Mhm.
you know, don't coerce anybody.
Yeah.
Don't use your power for evil.
Right.
I would say it still applies.
Yeah.
Um,
You aren't forcing women to join the military.
No.
They decide to sign
Right.
up on their own.
And I think, as we said a minute ago, making
Yeah.
a meritocracy and having really, really high standards is going to eliminate
a lot of the problems.
95,
Yeah.
99% of the problems.
Yeah.
anyways.
Mhm.
And then it are your convict? I mean, that's going to narrow it down.
Yeah.
But I would say when it comes to COVID, that was the issue. That would be like that's where
They're forcing evil
they're
on
forcing
you.
evil
Yeah.
on someone, and Jesus would say,
Yeah.
"Do not use your power to coerce evil."
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the flip side would be, a woman who doesn't want to go into combat,
Yeah.
but because
Her
whatever,
dad or whatever.
somehow she got in this situation, and now she's appealing for a way out. All faithful godly men, I'll be getting her. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Get out.
Yeah.
We'll make an exception. You sign the papers, but don't worry about it. We got you.
Yeah.
That would be the analogous situation, I would think.
Yeah.
Or you know that you're putting someone in danger. I mean, like there's probably a lot of situations where because a woman has been let in under certain circumstances, they're about to go into a mission.
Yeah.
And everybody's worried that that's the weak link in the chain.
Yeah.
I would say they're in that situation. Like there's, officers have prerogatives to make calls.
Yeah.
And generals and all the rest of the people in the hierarchy. And the godly ones ought to say, look, you're not going on this mission.
Yeah. Right.
And the fear, of course, is the backlash.
And he'll get tattled on.
It's because I'm a woman. Well, yes.
Yeah.
But it's because you're a woman and you're not made for this.
Yeah. Right.
You're this is not your glory.
Yeah.
And it's going to go bad.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So you're basically saying if you're proactively participating in some sort of evil, that's where your line's at. You don't proactively
You have
participate.
to have a bright line on that evil.
Yeah.
And I tell young guys this all the time who come and talk to me that say, all right, I'm thinking about going to the military. What do you think, Pastor? And I say, you need to have a bright line of right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And you go into this only willing to ruin your career.
Yeah.
You have to be
Willing to ruin your career.
willing for it. Is like you get to that line and you say, no, I can't. And you disobey orders. And the chances are good that you get, court-martialed, you get dishonorable discharge, whatever. And you have to be ready for that.
Yeah. So as a dad, as a civilian father, the Congress has talked in the past, even pretty seriously, it's come off to me that they wanted to even play with the idea of subscripting our women.
Oh, I know.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that would be another example where as a dad, you're like, no, not over my dead body. Right. So that'd be another line that I would have as a father. Now I'm just not putting my daughter in the military, Air Force, whatever, even if she gets her number drawn. No, you can come to my door and you can ask politely, and I still might shoot you. You know what I'm saying?
No,
you have to have a line there as a private civilian father,
right?
On all this.
No, this
what I'm saying is this issue is just not a military issue. There's a lot of private civilian.
We're having this issue because a whole bunch of dads didn't have the issue.
Yeah, that's right.
So
all the way up to the 4-star generals, all that stuff, Congress.
But a bunch of dads, and this is like even in Christian churches, there's pastors that won't say this from the pulpit.
Bro. Yeah,
that's
right.
The pastors would be like, that won't, I mean, this is back to what we talked about yesterday. If you guys missed the transgender show,
go back.
Billboard Chris, check the show out. It was really, really good. And this is a guy who's struggling with his faith.
Yeah.
And
his Chris's wife and children at church, and he's not.
He's got questions, concerns.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be rejecting Jesus at all, but definitely has some.
But he was pointing it out. He's pointing it out like the pastors won't preach on it.
Yeah,
they're afraid of offending people.
Yeah,
and we've been brainwashed even in the church.
Yeah.
What do you want to be when you grow up? Little girls. What do you want to be? And if you let them just say what they want to say.
An astronaut.
90% of the time, a bunch of those girls will just be like, I want to be a mommy.
Yeah.
I want to be a wife and a mommy.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do much. But if you're, occasionally you'll get the tomboy one that's like, I want to be a police officer.
Yeah.
And a faithful pastor and a faithful dad needs to be saying,
that's not wise.
No,
not for you.
No,
not for you.
That's not what you're made for, honey.
Yeah, that's right.
And don't freak out the first time that happens. You just say no. You're made to be a wife and a mom.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about a support role in the office, later on, and you just really like the idea of helping police officers be organized in the office, and you've raised your kids faithfully and so on. Okay, fine. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
But to be on the front line,
on the beat,
of combat militarily or in law enforcement,
or fire department, as we've talked about recently. I mean, we are in this situation because dads and moms and pastors and teachers did not love our little girls enough.
That's right.
To tell them the truth.
Yeah. That's right.
Now we've got people in the highest positions of power in this country, in
the military,
walking on eggshells, trying to explain how maybe this isn't the best thing ever, which, again, it's like, this is a slight improvement to where we were because the previous administration was celebrating, packing.
Well, and you also got to think with Pete being in there, he's going to do everything he can, I would imagine, to fight against subscription for our women. And the previous general would not. No,
Yeah.
So I mean, I think there's a lot of interesting things that's going to happen these next 4 years, especially the next 2 years, because we're in a situation where I think Trump's got more capital, more money in the bank than any president in a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the FBI came after him. The Department of Justice came after him.
Right.
The injustice in January 6th that happened, the pro-lifers that got arrested, like everything that's happened in the election interference, and then, Biden and everything that's happened, Biden being such a disaster. I mean, I think Trump has a lot of blank checks, and he can do a lot of things that previously conservative presidents couldn't have done because they didn't have all that money. Like getting rid of the Department of Education is not going to be a surprise for everybody if he does it.
Right.
He probably has that check to cash.
Right. No, I know. I hope the thing is, I hope the
follow through's there.
I hope they don't pull the punch.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they do have it. I mean, the red pilling that happened during the COVID. It's like now what's happened with the tranny thing. Now do this with abortion.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, like
what happened with the DEI thing?
Yeah. Now let's do that with marriage.
That's really good.
Gay marriage is not marriage.
Yeah.
That's an oxymoron.
Yeah. A man can't be a woman.
Yeah. And
a gay marriage can't be a marriage.
That's right. And I hope that there's a really thorough follow through and we don't do the half measure.
Honestly, I think that if we don't do the half measure, I'd blame that more on Trump's people who don't have the guts to follow through.
Yeah.
It's more likely Trump has more courage,
right,
and he passes that authority down to someone else, and but you can't follow through.
But it's encouraging that he is picking so many people who at least appear to have the
bona fides, the courage, the
backbone.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, he's not picking mediocre people for the most part.
Yeah,
I think there's probably a few question marks along the way, but he's picking people that are at least what the leftists would consider extremists, at least in the area that he's assigning them to.
Okay, so here's Pete talking about kind of some general principles that he wants to see in the military, and he's talking about why unity is not the main goal of the military. Roll this clip.
I've pointed out before, and I'll say it again, and because I'm sure it'll be quoted to me at some point. The dumbest phrase in military history is our unity is our strength. No, our shared purpose is our strength. Our shared mission is our strength. We are one DoD community of all committed to the same mission. Has nothing to do with your background. Has to do with what your commitment is to the country. And that is my solemn pledge to every single person that would put the uniform on and reflects President Trump's priorities as well.
Now the context there, of course, unity is you're unified as a battalion. You fight better, right? But the context is he's talking about unity in terms of like DEI, unity in terms of all the equity-based problems that have been in the military, no meritocracy, stuff like that. I thought that was a really good point.
Yeah.
And him talking about like our strength is our mission.
Right.
And if your mission is a meritocracy, kind of based mission, then you're absolutely right.
And that contrast that he's making, he doesn't say this. I don't know if you would agree with this, but I would say broadly speaking is the difference between masculine unity and feminine unity. The God made women primarily to care for a home, for a family. And so they are naturally concerned about unity.
Yeah.
The unity of the home, the unity of the family. And there's a good and godly place for that.
For that kind of unity.
In the home, yes. But men are made by God for a mission.
We're unified by mission.
Yes.
We're
A
unified by
task.
fighting.
Yes. We have a task.
Fighting
we have a mission,
together.
we have a goal.
That's good.
That's how God made men. Men are goal oriented. And they need to remember that they have a household to take care of.
Yeah.
But what happens is when this is broadly speaking what has been referred to as the longhouse effect. Have you heard this language?
I have,
There was an article. I think it's called the Evangelical Longhouse. But it's this idea of these feminine instincts coming to then become normative in all other areas of society.
Yeah.
And what happens though is when those instincts become the authoritative instincts, you want to do everything you can not to threaten that unity.
Yeah.
Which means you don't take risks.
Mm-hmm.
You try to minimize conflict. And again, when the kids are little and you're like the mother hen, there's a place for that. That's health and safety. Is that focus. But if you try to run a country on health and safety, it will destroy it.
Right.
It's what C.R. Wiley, our friend, has called toxic matriarchy.
Yeah.
Which is a real problem.
Yeah.
It's taking these feminine virtues, which really are virtues, in their place and in the right proportions, and making them normative. So in the church, we don't fight. We're conflict averse. We don't want fight. Don't talk so much about fighting sin. Don't talk about so much about the problems.
Or debating on theology or whatever.
It's all about making sure everybody feels welcome. This is why it's like the seeker sense thing. Like, here's your latte. Here's the soft music.
Lights low.
Here's the lights low. Here's that contemporary music that sounds like, whatever, late night date music.
Yeah.
It's like, that's that longhouse feminine instinct. That's our strength is our unity.
Yeah.
That's that feminism infiltrate. And so, and the fact that it's actually got it into our military, and the military's one job is to fight bad guys.
Yeah.
Like, it's their job to fight bad guys.
Your job's to kill.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And you are the sword of the civil magistrate.
That's right.
And the Bible says your job is to punish evildoers.
Yeah.
Make them scared.
Yeah.
Stop their evil.
Yeah.
And so he's absolutely right. And it's a thoroughly masculine role.
Yeah. Right.
Of using your strength to punish evildoers. And anyways, I don't know that he would frame it that way, but I think, again, I would say, way to go, Pete.
Yeah. Yeah. He did really well.
I think that, at least on that, is really good. And I know that, that maybe I said the quiet part out loud, you know what I mean? And that's, freaking more people out.
Yeah.
But I would say it's just a fact. This is what men are made for.
Right.
And women are made for other glorious things.
Right. Right. So I want to switch nomination processes to Pam Bondi, Pam Bondi. That is Trump's pick for Department of Justice.
Okay.
Now, so another important role.
Yes.
Right. Department of Justice is the one that's gone after Trump.
Right.
Right. Department of Justice is the one that's gone after pro-lifers through the FBI, using the FBI. The FBI has been kind of their tool through all this.
Pro-lifers.
The pro-lifers,
yeah.
Department of Justice is the one that's gone after the January 6ers.
Yep.
And those were all supposed to be misdemeanors kind of thing. And the FBI doesn't go after misdemeanors kind of thing.
Right.
So super important pick here. Now, I've heard some things she said that I'm not that excited about, but I think also, like, she defended Trump in 2020. So she's kind of been around the Trump wagon for a while. So I think she knows what she's getting into. Here is her on Sean Hannity about a year or so ago. And I think her comments are important about the kind of, I think, viewpoint she has before she even knew she was nominated for Department of Justice, right?
Okay.
This is way before, a year ago, whatever. But here's some things that she's already thinking about talking about if she's going to become the Department of Justice appointee. So let's roll this clip.
The Department of Justice, the prosecutors will be prosecuted, the bad ones. The investigators will be investigated, because the deep state, last term for President Trump, they were hiding in the shadows, but now they have a spotlight on them.
So she would like to, at least what she stated here, again, you're your comments happened a year ago, and now maybe your calculations are a little different. Now you got the nomination, kind of thing. But she wants to go after the investigators. She wants to go after the people who are perverting Department of Justice, perverting the FBI for their own political gains.
Right.
If you just today, was it today or yesterday? James O'Keefe just released this video on this contractor. He was formerly working for Hillary Clinton in the FBI. So he's been in the administrative grind under political figures, FBI, other places, and now he's a contractor, and he's part of the Joint Chief of Staff meetings.
Okay.
That's the kind of contractor he is.
Okay.
And he obviously, James O'Keefe sets him up with a hot chick.
Okay.
Right? Goes to the restaurant. We know the method here. We know that he goes to the restaurant with the babe and sits down, and she just gets him to confess everything.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said was, I am working with 1, 2, 3, and 4-star generals right now to figure out how we can resist Trump in office.
What?
That's a military coup.
Yeah.
That's literally what that is.
Right.
I am working with military leaders.
Just imagine if this happened like during
January 6th or whatever.
Well, or no, I'm thinking like during Obama's administration. We're working actively. I'm working with 1, 2, 3, 4-star generals to undermine Obama.
Mm-hmm.
The left would be
insane,
hysterics.
Yep. Tear their hair out.
And this happens, and let's not.
Yeah,
let's not talk about it.
So,
sure, that's not on CNN.
So James did a fantastic move before it went live. Sent the footage, all the footage, to the military or Joint Chiefs of Staff, someone high up.
Yep.
And they fired the contractor.
Okay.
We do not agree with what he says.
Yep.
But the problem is he gave the location of where the meeting was at.
Yep.
And where the meetings were going to be at the next day. At one point, he said, tomorrow I got these big meetings, and it's all my proposal. It's all my, kind of thing. And so they know where the meetings were at. So that means they likely know who's part of the meetings, and there are all these generals, and which means Trump
knows.
Yeah. And he should know.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of 1, 2, 3, 4-star generals that have indicated through this guy
treason. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pete Hegseth needs to know.
Yeah. So exactly. So the point is Pam has a lot of work to do. There's a lot of in-house cleanup that needs to happen.
Yeah.
I've heard talking with friends who are in the FBI have told me multiple times the general problem with the FBI is not out in the field. The problem with the FBI is what they say is the first, I think, the top 4 floors in DC FBI. That's what, it's all the political appointees or the political people who got the way up into the FBI administration.
Right.
And it's the top 4 floors that are the problem.
Yeah. Just so everybody knows, I was thinking about this when you were talking about her being the head of the Department of Justice. That's the Attorney General.
Yes.
Correct. I was just,
correct.
was trying to remember, how does I was like, is this Attorney General? But it is.
That's correct.
This is Attorney
It's
General.
William Barr's old position under Trump administration.
But that is the head of the Department of Justice.
Yes.
So those of you that are like me and you can't remember which place,
who's who and what's the name. Yep.
That's the AG, Attorney General.
Yep.
But she would be the head of the Department of Justice. Now, back to our earlier points. Grateful for that stance.
Yeah.
But it's also a shame that we don't have a man that can do this job.
Right.
Especially when we're rooting out a bunch of swamp monsters.
Yeah.
This is a war.
And
here's
the problem. Here's the problem with Trump is he has to appoint those whom he trusts.
I know. Yeah.
That's the problem.
Right.
This girl's been working with him on his own cases that are highly politicized.
No, I get it.
So I agree with you. But at this point, I'm appointing anybody that I trust that I know can get the job done.
Sure.
To some extent. Now, hopefully I can.
No, and it is different qualitatively than giving her, a fully automatic rifle and sending her into Afghanistan or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's equivalent.
Yeah. Right.
But I also think I want to do what I just said I want to do, which is like, I get it.
Yeah.
And this is.
Obviously, honestly, I'm appointing Davis Younts. Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. Davis Younts.
Yeah. But I want Christians to be more regularly saying, this is what I believe, but I think this is what we can do.
Yeah.
Like, so long as those things are not hypocritical, so long as those things are not and completely antithetical.
Yeah. Right.
I wish there was a faithful, godly man who could do this.
AKA Davis Younts.
Yeah, Davis Younts. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So here's Pam actually being grilled by the committee.
Okay.
And it would not be appropriate for a prosecutor to start with a name and look for a crime. It's a prosecutor's job to start with a crime and look for a name, correct?
Senator, I think that is the whole problem with the weaponization that we have seen the last 4 years and what's been happening to Donald Trump. They targeted Donald Trump. They went after him, actually starting back in 2016. They targeted his campaign. They have launched countless investigations against him. That will not be the case if I am Attorney General. I will not politicize that office. I will not target people simply because of their political affiliation. Justice will be administered even-handedly throughout this country. Senator, we've got to bring this country back together. We've got to move forward or we're going to lose our country.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Because it's funny because the Democrats this last year have constantly projected on the Republicans what they've actually been doing.
Right.
And then he asked this question
Right.
about how they've actually been operating the Department of Justice. And she's like, I agree with you, actually.
Yeah. I promise to stop doing what the current administration has been doing.
Yeah.
I promise to stop doing what Merrick Garland has been doing.
Yeah. This is, I tweeted this out yesterday. Russell Moore had Mike Pence on his show.
Why do you
and they were talking about January.
Why do you do this to yourself?
I have you guys pay me the big bucks to do this.
No, not to do that. No, I draw the line there.
But they were talking about. I should have had a clip from this.
No.
Actually, I should have had a clip. Yeah, no.
No.
But they were talking about January 6th, and Russell Moore had asked Mike Pence, if Trump pardons the people from January 6th, what do you think of that? And he's like, well, I hope he doesn't pardon anybody from January 6th. That's what Mike Pence said.
Right.
And I'm paraphrasing. And that just made me actually really kind of sad. I'm like, and this goes back to our pastor comment things. Biblical justice has been so far outside of the scope of importance for the church to be preaching and teaching on.
Right.
That Mike Pence can say this, and Russell Moore, major church leaders,
right?
Former Vice President Pence, Russell Moore, Christianity Today, and they look at January 6th.
But he is Christianity Today.
Yeah, I know, liberal, whatever today, right?
Yeah.
But they look at January 6th and they think all of it was justice. All of it was done fairly. All the legality of what happened there was not, stacked, was not the jury, the judges, the penalties, everything that went down there.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, you wish that Pence would have said something like, well, the ones that were wrongly convicted should be pardoned. Even if he thinks more of them got out of hand and broke laws than I do, then he should say that.
Yeah.
He should say the guilty ones ought to pay the penalty.
Yeah.
And the not guilty ones ought to be pardoned.
Ought to be free. Yeah.
You could say something like that.
Yeah.
And that'd be perfectly even-handed.
But also I think Mike Pence should even know better too. He should know that there are at least 25 to 30 FBI agents in civilian clothes in the audience.
Yeah.
He should know.
Does he know that?
That I would think he does. He was vice president when it all went down.
Yeah.
He's talked to his buddies.
Yeah.
Right. He should know that the peaceful crowd was shot at with rubber bullets. There's pictures of this. Not all the footage is out. It's going to be. I believe Trump will let it all out. But there's so many other variables that happen there. The police letting him in nicely, escorting people around it's like, yeah, maybe there's some people that broke some windows and they should be punished and all that stuff.
Right.
Out of Russell Moore and Mike Pence should know a lot of these details.
I just wonder if he does.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of conspiracy theorist is like, but maybe he's only ever watched CNN.
And he didn't want to know too.
And part of me kind of gets it. Like, he was put in a really, really terrible spot. Where Trump, using the biggest megaphone he has, says, "Don't certify the election."
Yeah.
and then he certifies the election. And so like I get like that's a massive like you don't want to be in that position ever. But fact of the matter is you had to take that into consideration when you swore your oath of office. When you became vice president, you signed up for this, you know, the possibility of this kind of terrible moment. But I can see that being the kind of thing that just really like burned him. And now he's, you know, he sees the whole Trump thing as kind of this, you know, revolt, rebellion, whatever. I don't know. And then maybe he just.
Well, I'm just thinking of like, even like our friends, like I'm forgetting his first name, Massaquoi.
Oh yeah.
Our actor out of California.
Yeah.
The FBI came and arrested him.
I know.
At the airport as he's getting off a plane.
Right.
And he was in the building for less than 90 seconds.
Right.
Gored himself, going in, walking around,
they said,
walking out.
Please leave, sir. And he locked out.
And go. And they arrest him. It's like Mike Pence should know those stuff.
Right.
And especially if you're going to, you know, he has a duty to know this stuff, especially he's going to comment on that like Russell Moore.
Right.
So,
right. No, it's very unfortunate that, that he's not, if I mean, obviously if he knows, then it's wickedness.
Yeah. Right.
And he's just like, he's just as bad as all the rest of the hypocritical politicians.
Yeah.
I'm sort of inclined.
He's just part of the injustice.
I'm like trying to like hope for the best. And I'm like, maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he's been brainwashed by the left and really thinks that there was they were all the Buffalo Man breaking windows and rifling through offices.
Buffalo Man didn't do anything either.
Well, yeah, I know. But like, you know what I mean? Like the caricature of breaking windows and threatening violence. I mean, the way that the FBI did this after the fact is like tracking people down. It's all been done kind of in secret, kind of in the dark. And the mainstream media has not been playing this up. It's like a few people here and there. Tucker Carlson, us. I mean, I don't know, maybe some people on the Daily Wire highlighting it here and there, but it's like not been really trumpeted. Like a bunch of the people that the FBI has tracked down after the fact did nothing.
Good journalists, our friends over the Blaze.
Right.
What's his name that we interviewed? A lot of good.
Yeah, no, I just wonder though. Does the man on the street know that? You know, I don't know. And would Mike Pence? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
let's go get to the plug. Then we got a psalm. Today's beer and psalm day.
Oh,
yeah.
We're just done. I thought
we're done. That was it.
That was all.
And so pay attention to some of this nomination process and what's going on. I don't need a full beer. Can I just share with you?
Open a beer. Yeah, that's fine. Oh yeah. Ooh, that was kind of juicy.
You know, and I'll just be praying for a lot of Trump's nomination process, because a lot of these people, if Trump has the blank check that we're arguing for, a lot of those people who he's nominated, they're going to be in position to actually, cash those blank checks, to write those blank checks, to execute some of the things that we really want them to execute. We want them to get rid of the Department of Education.
I hope they don't. I don't hope they don't like cash blank checks.
Yeah.
Because you just said that. You said they're going to cash blank checks.
Yeah. Well, I mean blank by like pretty massive ability.
I hope there's stuff in there.
Did it just come out of the beer?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's maybe not filtered very well in that beer, but yeah.
Look at that.
It should be good.
All right. Okay.
It's Mac and Jacks, man.
I know. I like Mac and Jacks, but that's like kind of chunky. I don't remember Mac and Jacks being so chunky. African amber.
It smells so good.
Yeah, it's good. I'll let mine settle a bit. Yeah. I actually read the other plug, so I'm just going to write in the psalm. There's no plugs. It's just the beer and psalms, unless there's another plug after the beer. And
there
psalms.
was a plug after the psalm.
Let's look and see here. What's what we got here?
We'll get there.
Nope. No,
more. That's it.
No more plugs.
We took out the third plug.
Was there a plug that you wanted to do? Just do it informally.
Let me see here.
Is it somewhere else?
Yes, I got it right here. Squirrely Joe's.
Oh, Squirrely Joe.
Are you a Christian struggling to find companies that align with your values and beliefs? Squirrely Joe's has you covered for all your coffee needs. All of their coffee is hand-selected and roasted fresh every day by a family of fellow believers. They actually sent us a sample pack because my wife couldn't remember what coffee she liked. So they sent us a sample pack, so we're going to be ordering from them. Try them out, and you'll savor exceptional coffee while knowing that your investment supports a company committed to following God's teaching and upholding truth and righteousness, ensuring your hard-earned money contributes to the growth of God's kingdom. Stop giving your hard-earned dollars to pagans who support evil. We have a fantastic offer for listeners. Listen to this. Your first bag of coffee is free. And I'll tell you, once I know what our favorite bag of coffee is, I'll even tell you. All you have to do is cover shipping. Head over to squirrelyjoes.com/crosspolitic. Here's the key, /crosspolitic to claim your free bag of coffee today. That's Squirrely Joes. You got to learn how to spell Squirrely Joes, JOES.com/crosspolitic.
Gabe, you're supposed to do the wood thing.
The wood thing. Yes. We actually, I forgot the piece of paper up here. Our friends, let me see if I can find it. Apparently we got some friends in Knoxville who
we went to Knoxville one time.
They're fantastic. Let me get this up here. Hang on here. Where'd it go? Boom, boom, boom. I'll read a little bit of what's going on here. He made us this, but I gotta give you a little background first. Okay. Bank sent me. Did Bank send it to me? Bank. Yes, there it is. Okay. This dad in Knoxville owns his own wood shop, got his own website. He made us this amazing sign.
Wow.
I mean, like feel the quality of it.
Yeah.
No lines.
Well,
there's no lines between everything.
Yeah.
No lines on the. I mean, you can just feel how.
For the record, it looks a lot better in person than in the pictures. Like you posted a picture earlier and you shared it with us, and I was like, I hope
get it back.
You were like really excited about it, and I was like, it's hard to tell in a picture. I know.
It's really nice, really nice wood.
It actually is like really nice.
Let me read about this guy just a little bit. He owns Liberating Ing Wood.
Okay.
Shop out of Knoxville. He wrote us and he said, I'm 54 years old, got 4 kids, ages 15 to 21, and he has been a listener of Cross Politics since it started.
Wow.
I'm sorry, man.
Our moms.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Liberating Wood. My goodness. Since it started, he actually first heard about it when Knox was with Gary DeMar in Atlanta. He's been a pub member for several years, attended multiple two Fight Laugh Feast conferences. And he went to the first one in Franklin, Tennessee.
Yeah,
which is glorious. So anyways, he has his own wood shop. He has his own website. You can actually go to, I think it's liberatingwood.com. I think it's his website. And he's on Twitter, but he's mostly on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram because it's very video friendly, you know, shop and everything.
Image
so
friendly.
You could reach out to him, liberatingwood.com. He made this and sent it to us out of the blue. What happened? I'd seen some pictures on Instagram of him making it on Instagram, and it came out Fight Laugh Feast. You don't know what he's making yet, and it came out Fight Laugh Feast, and I just liked it and said, "Hey, man, that's fantastic."
Oh, I think I saw that.
You might have seen it too.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he decided to send it to us, and we have it hanging up on. We'll have it hanging up on the wall downstairs when people come in. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, liberatingwood.com. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I believe that's the address.
Check it out. Check him out on Instagram. Like, follow. Give our brother some love. Appreciate it very much. The Psalm of the day is Psalm 146. Hallelujah, praise Jehovah. O my soul, Jehovah praise. I will sing the glorious praises of my God through all my days. Put no confidence in princes, nor for help on man depend. He shall die, to dust returning, and his purposes shall end. Happy is the man that chooses Israel's God to be his aid. He is blessed whose hope of blessing on the Lord his God is stayed. Heaven and earth the Lord created, seas and all that they contain. He delivers from oppression. Righteousness he will maintain. Food he daily gives the hungry, sets the mourning prisoner free, raises those bowed down with anguish, makes the sightless eyes to see. Well, Jehovah loves the righteous, and the stranger he befriends, helps the fatherless and widow, judgment on the wicked sends. Hallelujah, praise Jehovah. O my soul, Jehovah praise. I will sing the glorious praises of my God through all my days. Overall, God reigns forever. Through all ages, he is king. Unto him, thy God, O Zion, joyful hallelujahs sing. This is a wonderful psalm of praise, and it's a psalm of praise that reminds us very simply of the kind of God we serve. Often we're tempted to become discouraged because all we can see is what is wrong, what's not going well, what is so hard. All we can see is the trouble right in front of us. And sometimes it's very difficult to see anything else. Sometimes the storm clouds are very black and the rain comes down in torrents. But in those dark and stormy moments, we need psalms like this to sing. And sometimes you need to sing it like 3 or 4 times in a row just to make sure it gets into your bones. This psalm, like a few others, it brings praise. It starts with praise, but it also calls upon the soul to praise. It says, praise Jehovah, and then it says, oh, my soul. Jehovah praise. Sometimes you have to sing to yourself. Sometimes you have to sing to your own soul because your own soul is misbehaving. Sometimes you have to tell your own soul, cheer up, praise the Lord. Another one of the Psalms that does this is Psalm 42. Psalm 42, the psalmist actually is asking his soul, why are you grieving? Soul, why are you so down? Why are you so sad? And then he preaches to his own soul and he says, hope in God. Right? Hope in God, the psalmist sings to his own soul. And here in Psalm 146, the psalmist determines to praise the Lord with his whole being. He tells himself, don't trust in men. Don't trust in them. They come and go. Happiness is only found in trusting in God, hoping in God. And then he remembers that God made heaven and earth, that he executes justice for the oppressed. He gives food to the hungry. He sets the captives free. He opens the eyes of the blind. He raises up the brokenhearted, and the Lord loves the righteous, even strangers, orphans, and widows. And the Lord turns the way of the wicked upside down. And then the psalm just closes in doxology. That's the kind of God you serve, right? He created heaven and earth. He does justice. He sets the prisoners free. He heals the blind. He's the friend of the fatherless and the widow. And so it closes in doxology. Jehovah reigns forever. Thy God, O Zion, unto all generations. Praise ye the Lord. Hallelujah. So what's your situation? Are you trapped in a prison? Does it feel like you're trapped in a prison? Are you sick? Still sick? Are you hungry? You don't have what you've asked for? Praise your God right now because he is the God who executes justice for his people. Trust him and praise him right now that he will not leave you in that situation one moment longer than is necessary. He never leaves people there longer than they need to be. He's the one that brings you out. Of course, I say that and you say, wait. Necessary? Yes. Your faithful father does not allow anything into your life accidentally.
Yeah.
And that includes all the trouble, all the difficulty, right? The situation in your family, your church, this nation. He rules the wind and the waves. They obey his command. And so when the troubles come, they come with his permission and they come because of his great love. Think of faithful Job. God loved Job. And so he sent the troubles into his life. This isn't a message of stoic resignation. This is not me saying, so suck it up. God did not want Job to just lay down and take it. God wanted Job to wrestle with the evil. God wanted Job to wrestle with him in the midst of that trouble. He wanted Job to cry out to him. And so that's why we begin with praise and thanksgiving. Hallelujah. Praise Jehovah. This is why we say that worship is central to all reformation. Worship is central to the restoration of America. This is why we say worship is warfare. This is not a sappy, emotional worship that pretends there are not troubles in this world. It's not an escape mechanism. No, this is an eyes wide open worship that sees all the troubles, but then sees beyond the troubles and sees Jesus Christ seated at the Father's right hand, reigning and ruling over it all. And he is greater than all our troubles. This is why this kind of worship is potent. It sees the world rightly. So if you want to be part of the solution and not just another part of the problem, sing Psalms and sing Psalm 146 in particular and sing it until you mean it.
We're just going to end right here. I want this psalm to lead us out. Really good, Toby. Thank you. Until tomorrow, fight, laugh, and feast.
A master called together a few young men of this generation and spoke to them, saying, I gave your great-grandfathers a time of despair and poverty and global war. They were strong and victorious and built an empire greater than any other. But they were terrible fathers and raised entitled sons and daughters of rot who inherited everything through no courage of their own. To those rotten sons, your own grandfathers, I gave abundance and wealth and stability. But they pissed it all away on debauchery and sexual revolution, establishing many idols and slaughtering tens of millions of children in sacrifice to their appetites. One generation fought against the perpetrators of a great Holocaust. The next dishonored that victory with an even greater Holocaust of their own children. The children who did survive, your fathers, carried on the sexual descent of their parents into new madness and new disease, piercing and inking their skin like death-worshipping pagans as they did, establishing special days of pride to celebrate the debauch, slaughtering more children and castrating and poisoning others, claiming to be creators when they were destroyers, mutilating the young and calling it acceptance. All these generations I have judged, and am judging. Their madness now is only a taste of my wrath. The young men were afraid and asked the master why he had called them and why he was telling them these things. Because it is now your turn. I am giving all of this chaos to you, he said. Your inheritance is a world of crumbling false gods crowded with blind and mad worshippers. I am entrusting you with a world of empires built on cracked and heaving foundations. The time of your inheritance is near. You have only a little while to prepare yourselves. Seize this moment of chaos and build me a world of sanity and righteousness. When I return, I will judge what you have built for me. With so much rubble to work with, I expect great things. The master turned to leave, but the young men begged him to wait. How can we do this, they asked. There are hundreds of millions of unbelievers in our nation alone and only a few of us. Their master answered, saying, I am not a hard master. You will have the truth and wisdom if you desire it. And you may each choose one woman to help you. That should be enough. Go now and build. New St. Andrews College. Carpe Chaos.